Okay, have you ever had a compass that gets a big air bubble in it like that? Okay, not all is lost when that happens. Okay, sometimes you can't see the crack, but this one here is clearly cracked right here. Okay, and it is now redeemed useless inside here. Okay, that air bubble just ruins the compass's ability to act correctly. So I can't rely on this anymore. So what I need to do is take and get that fluid out of there. Okay, I'm going to save this fluid and keep this in a container, and I'm going to save this compass because this here is a mirror, or aka signaling device. Okay, don't get rid of that. So not everything's lost here, but let me show you here what we're going to do with this needle inside here. Okay, what I did is emptied that liquid that was inside of the compass, and if you ever empty one of them out, it kind of smells like paint thinner. Okay, smells just like paint thinner. Okay, see what that does? That stuff burns because it's just like a paint thinner. Okay, it's flammable, so it can actually help you in starting a fire. So remember that you can use this to put on some tinder or something, strike it with the ferro rod, and use it as like a tinder. Okay, so now we want to get our needle out of there. We want to do it as carefully as possible. So what I'm going to do is take this thing out. Very carefully. Just breaking away all the plastic. Okay, and then I want this needle out of here. Okay, so I have this needle here, and this needle's magnetized. Okay, now these needles from these compasses, they're actually magnetized. Okay, so I found this little piece of cardboard. You can use a leaf or something, but this will work much better if you can get something like this. I just cut the bottom of the little cup off, and I have my watch here, and I dug this little pool next to this stagnant pool because the wind seems to be blowing on it a little bit. And what I want this to do is just be separate from all the other water that can be moving, because if it's separate, then it'll make it more accurate. Okay, you want this to not be able to move at all. You can see that wind's blowing right now, and we don't want that. If I put this in here, it's just going to blow it all over the place. Okay, and we don't want that. So we're going to let this wind calm down a little bit here, and then we're going to take this and test it with my watch. Okay, that has a compass in it, to see if it'll point us north, because red should point us due north. Okay, it's just like magnetizing a needle, and that's what you have to remember. If you break your compass, it's not all lost yet. Okay. Okay, so we have a calm spell here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this in here just like this, very lightly. Okay, and we're going to let it do its thing. You can see it's starting to spin. Let it spin for a minute. Okay, it might have to jump back a little bit because it's not in that secured compass anymore. Okay, see how it's rolling back a little bit now? Okay, so it looks pretty stagnant where it is. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and give it a reading. I'm going to point my watch the same direction as that, as if it were on my wrist. Okay, and that says north-northeast right there. If I turn it just a touch right there, that'll be north. Okay, so it's giving me a general northerly direction. Now, let's test it one more time. You want to do this more than once because things might affect it. This time I'm going to spin it completely around, and I'm going to let it do its thing. Okay, just give it a minute until it stops spinning. And you can see that it's starting to turn right back around just how it was the first time. Just let it stop moving, because that water is moving just a little bit. That wind's blowing that water out there and pulling it. Okay, so it spun right back around. This time it's pointing a little bit more that way, which is due north. Okay, I don't know if you can see my watch or not, but it's pointing north right now. Okay, this time I'm going to zoom in so you guys can get a good view of this. Okay, so I'm bringing you guys down close now, and this will be the third test, just to make sure, and then this way you guys can see that the compass does read north. I want you to be able to see my watch. So I'm going to face it the opposite direction, actually this way, of what it was pointing to, just to be sure. So I set that in there very carefully. Okay. We want that wind to all calm down. Try to keep this in here. And then we just wait and see if it spins back to that same direction that it has been. And right now it's starting to spin. Wherever that magnetic pull's the greatest, that's where it's going to go. Try and keep you guys all in frame here. Okay, you can see that it's spinning. We got a dead calm right now. There's no wind. And you can see that it just stopped spinning right there. Okay, it's trying to pull itself back, because that red needle is going to be pulling towards magnetic north. Okay, so it seems to be settling a little bit there. So what we want to do now is let it finish out, and then hopefully you guys can see this now. I'm going to point this here, and then you can see that's due north. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not. Right there, I got to keep it flat because that's how it calculates the most accurate. Okay, hopefully you can see that is due north. Alright, so that's how you do that with a compass that's broken. You just find a way to float it in some stagnant water, and it's just like a magnetized needle, okay? So remember that not all is lost when your compass breaks. You can still use it, so don't just ditch it, okay? Use that metal, or use that mirror in there for signaling, and for, you know, if you have something you can't see on a certain part of your body and you need to check it out, a sliver, whatever, that's important for that as well. You got something in your eye, you might need that mirror. And obviously the needle you can use to find direction if you find a stagnant pool of water, a leaf, or a piece of trash that floats like this. And obviously you might not have a compass watch like me, but you just use other things like the sun and stuff to verify that it's pointing the right way. Test it 3 or 4 times to make sure it's pointing that same direction, and it will give you a general northerly direction. And then the fluid inside the compass is somewhat flammable. Okay, you can use that to dump on some tinder or whatever to get yourself a fire. Okay, it'll help that tinder burn. Alright, so there you have it with that. Broken compass is okay.